Howdy folks, this is Mr. Ryan and this is ninth grade math lesson 1-4. Once again, I don't have access to my classroom right now, so I'm going to use a digital environment. So let's take it away here. Alright, so what are we going to do here? Let me move this out of the way. Sorry about that. I'll move it down here. Okay, great. So what I want to do in this particular with this kind of question is I really want you to develop an idea for the basic shape of a linear graph. You can see that there are four. This is basically multiple choice, and what we're looking at here is we're just asking the question, which of these graphs could be the graph of y equals 3x plus 7? Let's look at all these possibilities over here and let's see what makes them similar and different. Well, I want you to notice something, that this one right here, this linear graph, it's kind of pointing down to the right, and that means that this one has a negative slope, okay? And so we know that this one is going to, the m is going to be negative. So anything that fits this graph should start off with like negative something x, right? This one here is also kind of, look at that, it's kind of pointing downward, okay? And so that also is going to be a negative sloping line, okay? All right, whoops. This one here is kind of pointing upward, look at that. And we're always going from the left to the right, so going from the left to the right, this graph is going upward, it's pointing upward, and therefore this has a positive slope. And that means that the m, whoops, positive slope, the m is going to be a positive number, okay? And then this one also, as you can see, has a positive slope, okay? The only, other than a, what we call a constant function, which we're not going to deal with right now, our graphs are either going to have a negative slope or a positive slope. Those are the only two choices, okay? And so now let's look at the other thing that we might be looking at here. We're going to go ahead and erase what we've just put in. And then we're going to look at the y-intercept. And I want you to look at these graphs here, these four different situations, and see what's interesting about the y-intercept. There's really only two possibilities for the y-intercept. There is a third possibility, but we're not going to deal with that one right now, okay? All right, so let's, we can see here the y-intercept on A here, here's the x-intercept, and so therefore this is, the y-intercept is positive. That's a positive y-intercept, okay? And so this one is going to be something that says like, you know, after the x, it's going to say like +1 or +2 or +3 or maybe +17 or something. But over here, you can see this one is below the x-axis, and therefore this is a negative y-intercept, okay? And then here you can see that this one has a positive y-intercept, and this one has a negative y-intercept. We're just looking at where the graph crosses over the y-axis relative to 0, okay? And if this is the point 0, 0, here's the point 0, 0, this one crosses over above 0, and this one crosses over the y-axis below 0, and therefore the y-intercept is negative here, and the y-intercept is positive here, okay? So now that we know that, this is going to make it really easy to answer these questions. Let's go ahead and erase some of this stuff, and we're just going to select A, B, C, or D for all of these examples, okay? All right, and so here is our first example. Let's see here. Okay, good. All right, so it says, which of these graphs could be the graph of 3x plus 7? Well, look, the slope here is positive, and the y-intercept is also positive. So we're looking for the picture that has a positive slope and has a positive y-intercept, okay? Well, this one has a negative slope, so this one's out, okay? This one, well, let's put it over the A. There we go. That one's out. This one's out because it also has a negative slope. So it's either D or B. But look, B has a negative y-intercept, and therefore this one's out. But this one has both a positive slope and a positive y-intercept. So it's very possible that D could be the graph of 3x plus 7. It really is that simple, okay? Let's try another example. Okay, let's try this one. It says, which of these graphs could be the graph of negative 7x plus 11? Okay, well, you can see here that the slope is negative, so we know it's not going to be B. We know it's not going to be D because they both have a positive slope. We want a negative slope. And we can see here that the y-intercept is positive. It's above the x-axis. And this one has a y-intercept below the x-axis, so that's no good. So we want the one that has the y-intercept above the x-axis. Therefore, it can't be C. We have negative slope with a y-intercept above the x-axis. Therefore, the answer to this question is A. Let's try another one. All right, let's try this one. This says, which of these graphs could be the graph of y equals negative x minus 6? Okay, so we're looking for a negative slope. What is the slope? Well, it's negative 1, but we don't write the number 1, so negative 1 times x is just negative x. And so we're looking for a negative slope. That gives us A or C. B has a positive slope, so that's out. D has a positive slope, so that's out. So we're looking for now, we're looking for which graph has a y-intercept that's negative. Well, A has a positive y-intercept, and C has a negative y-intercept, so it's got to be C. It's not going to be A, because A has a positive y-intercept, but this one right here could be negative x minus 6. Therefore, the answer is C. Let's try a couple more. Okay, this one says, which of these graphs could be the graph of y equals x minus 27? Okay, well, what's the slope? Well, this is a positive slope because there's no negative sign, so it's positive. And the slope is 1, so it's positive 1. And so we're looking for something with a positive slope. Well, A has a negative slope, so we're going to leave that one out. C has a negative slope, so we're going to leave that one out. Okay, so it's either B or D. Well, the y-intercept here is negative, and therefore it can't be D because D has a positive y-intercept. Only B has a negative y-intercept along with a positive slope. Therefore, positive slope, negative y-intercept. So this answer is going to be B. It's not going to be D. Okay? All right, let's try a couple more. Okay, let's try this one. It says, which of these graphs could be the graph of y equals 5x minus 8? Why don't you pause the video and see if you can figure out whether it's A, B, C, or D. Okay, so we have a positive slope because the slope here is positive 5. So that's going to be either B or D. And then the y-intercept is negative. That's negative 8, so positive slope, negative y-intercept. So that's B because B has a negative y-intercept and a positive slope. Therefore, the answer here is B. Let's try another one. All right, let's try this. Which of these graphs could be the graph of negative 3x plus 17? Why don't you try this one on your own? Go ahead and pause it. Okay, so now we're looking for, what do we got here? We have a negative slope and a positive y-intercept. Well, A and C both have a negative slope, so it's got to be one of those. And C has a negative y-intercept, but A has a positive y-intercept, and therefore this one could only possibly be A. Okay. All right, I think that's enough practice. You get the idea. There are going to be several of these on the learning sheet, and you should. You really all you're doing in this exercise is you're learning whether a graph, a linear graph, has the look of a positive slope or a negative slope, and whether it has a positive y-intercept or a negative y-intercept, and that's it. Okay. So now we're going to go to the second part of lesson 1.4, where we're gonna calculate the value of a linear function that is not included on the graph. Okay. So in this second part, what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to identify output values of a function when the number we're plugging in, like 17, is not included on the graph. So for example, if somebody asks me, well, hey, what is f of 4? Okay, all right, what's f of 4? Well, that's easy. I can just go 1, 2, 3, 4. I can go to where x is equal to 4, okay? And then I can go up to the graph right here, and I can see that when f is 4, y is equal to 2, and therefore f of 4 is equal to 2. So f of 4, f of something is equal to y, okay? It's whatever the y value is when you plug the number in for x. So what this is saying is, you know, when x equals 4, then y equals 2. That's what f of 4 equals 2 means, is that when x is 4, then y is equal to 2, okay? Well, this is saying when x is 17, what is y equal to? Well, we have a problem with that because, look, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, 17 is all the way over here. And so we can't see on the graph. So how are we supposed to identify what y is if we can't find 17, x equals 17 on the graph? Well, what we have to do is we have to take the graph, we have to turn it into a y equals mx plus b. We have to turn it into the slope-intercept form, which we learned how to do in lesson 1.3, and then we have to plug 17 in for for x and then solve for y, okay? All right, so what we're going to do here is let's go ahead and do some erasing here. We'll start off with a fresh space here. And what we're going to do is the first thing we have to do is we have to identify the y-intercept. There we go. We need to identify the slope-intercept form, okay? Now we learned how to do this. The way that we learned how to do this was we identified the x-intercept and the y-intercept, and then we identified the slope, okay? So it looks like the x-intercept or the y-intercept, okay, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, negative 6, okay? So the y-intercept is 0, negative 6, okay? All right. The x-intercept is 3, 0, 3, 0, and that means that the slope, okay, is going to be m equals, and then what do we have to do? We got to put the negative 6, that's the y, then the x in the bottom, then 2 minus signs, then the y in the top, 0, and the x in the bottom, 3, okay? And so negative 6 minus 0 is negative 6. 0 minus 3 is negative 3, and negative 6 divided by negative 3 is positive 2. So the slope is 2, and that means that that y is equal to, and we can say f of x. This is the same thing as saying f of x. F of x is equal to y, which is the same thing as 2x, and then we need the y-intercept, which is negative 6, 2x minus 6. Okay, well, if we want f of 17, then what we're going to do is we're going to put 17 in for x here and here. So now f of 17 is equal to y equals 2 times 17 minus 6, which is equal to, well, 2 times 17, that's 34, and 34 minus 6, that's equal to 28. Okay, and therefore, what is f of 17? F of 17 is equal to 28, okay? And what that means is that the coordinate 17 comma 28 is on this graph. It's just all the way over there and all the way up way high, okay? All right, let's try another example just like this one. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to identify what is f of 20 based on this graph, okay? So what we're assuming is that this graph is f of x, okay? And we're going to do that a lot in this class, is we're going to say that the graph is f of x, okay? And we want to know what is f of 20. Well, we're only going up to x equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 20 is all the way over here to the right. It's not on the screen. And so we want to try and identify f of 20. Well, the first thing we're going to do, again, is we're going to identify what is the slope-intercept form of this graph. And to do that, we need the y-intercept, okay, which is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we got negative 8. So the y-intercept is 0 and negative 8. Okay, now we need the x-intercept. Learned this in lesson 1.3. The x-intercept is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, -10. All right, so the x-intercept is -10 and 0. Okay, now we need the slope, and the slope is m equals, we're going to draw a line here, and we're going to put -8 up top and 0 on the bottom, -8, 0, and then 0, -10. Put some minuses in here, 0 and -10. Okay, learned this already. -8 minus 0 is -8, and 0 minus -10 is the same thing as 0 plus 10, so that's over 10. Then we want to reduce this fraction. -8 is divisible by 2. That gives us -4. 10 is divisible by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And so our slope is -4/5. So our function, f of x, is equal to y equals -4/5 x. And then our y-intercept is -8. So we'll put -8. So what we need to do now is to identify f of 20. We're going to say that f of 20 is equal to -4/5 times 20 minus 8. Okay? Now, -4/5 times 20. So what we do here is, this is the same thing as 20 over 1. Okay, let's jump up here real quick. -4/5, okay, times 20 over 1. Now, I want to remind you that when we multiply a fraction times a fraction, or a fraction times an integer, whatever, we made it a fraction, we multiply the numerators. So -4 times 20 is -80. And then we multiply denominators. 5 times 1 is 5, and -80 divided by 5. Okay, well, what is -80 divided by 5? Okay, so I want to introduce you to www.numworks.com. I told you that NumWorks is my favorite calculator, my favorite graphing calculator, and it is. And I want to show you something really neat. One of the reasons I like it so much is because it's accessible. Even if you don't own it, you can just go to the website, type in numworks.com, click on emulator, and ta-da, you have access to the NumWorks calculator. Okay, we can even go full screen here, and look, it'll actually show the calculator. So over here, I can use the keypad, and what I'll do is I want to be on the calculation. I'm using that, so I'm just going to hit OK, and then I can just type in, what are we trying to calculate here? We want to know what is -80 divided by 5, in case we're not sure, right? We're going to hit execute, and look, it says it's -16. That's really cool. And so if we go back here to this whiteboard, okay, then we know that -80 divided by 5 is equal to, come back over here, is equal to -16, okay? And we have to do -8. So -4/5 times 20 is -16 minus 8. And -16 minus 8 is -24. And therefore, the answer to f of 20, we can say that f of 20 is equal to -24. And so the coordinate 20, comma, -24 is somewhere on this graph way down here. Okay, way down there. And so now we're able to answer what is f of 20. Okay, let's try just one more example like this. Okay, so now we have this new graph, and we want to know what is f of -21. I think you should try this on your own. It'll really help you learn. So pause the video and try this one on your own. Okay, so now I'm going to do it, and we'll see if you got it right. Now, if you haven't done it yet, if you didn't pause the video and try this on your own, you're doing it wrong. You're learning wrong. When an instructor, when a teacher tells you to do something a certain way and to try a math problem on your own, then you should always try something. Do your best to try and get the answer on your own, and then compare your answer to what the teacher then does afterwards. Okay, so if you haven't done it yet, go ahead and pause the video and try to find out what is f of -21. Okay, so now I'm going to do it. So we need the y-intercept. Okay. The y-intercept is right here, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, positive 4. So the y-intercept is 0, 4. Okay. The x-intercept, we need that 2. The x-intercept is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 0. Okay. 14, 0. Good. Now we need the slope. Okay. And to get the slope, it's going to be m is equal to, it's a fraction. We'll put a y in the top, 4 in the top, 0 in the bottom. 4 in the top, 0 in the bottom, 2 minuses. 0 in the top, 14 in the bottom. 0 in the top, 14 in the bottom. Good. Equals, well, 4 minus 0, that's 4. And 0 minus 14, that's negative 14. Okay. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Negative 14 divided by 2 is negative 7, but we'll put the 7 here and we'll put the negative out front. And that makes the slope negative 2 over 7, right? And so that means that f of x is equal to y equals negative 2/7 x, and then our y-intercept is positive 4. So put a plus 4 here. Good. Now we just want to know what is f of negative 21. Okay, well, f of negative 21, we're going to put negative 21 in for x. So we'll go negative 2/7. And then in for the x, we'll put in a negative 21, okay? And we'll do plus 4 equals. All right, let's see what we got here. So negative 2/7 times negative 21. Let's maybe do that over here. Okay, so negative 2/7. Notice I put the negative in the numerator. That's a good idea here, okay? Times negative 21. Now, negative 21 is the same thing as negative 21 over 1. And so that's going to be equal to negative 2 times negative 21, that's 42. And then 7 times 1, that's 7. And 42 divided by 7, that equals 6. You should have that memorized. 42 divided by 7 is 6. Therefore, what we're going to have here is 6 plus 4, okay? And 6 plus 4 is equal to 10. And therefore, f of negative 21 is equal to 10, okay? And so then the point, negative 21 and 10 is somewhere on this graph, but it's all the way over here. If we were to follow this line backwards, this direction, it would be somewhere all the way over there, okay? So I think that's it. I think you should have this and, you know, definitely practice this and make sure that you can answer these questions. And then if you have any concerns, like you're having a problem doing this, then maybe either you email me and I help you, or maybe we should set up a meeting and I can work you through a few other extra problems to sort of get you to where you feel comfortable. Okay. Well, that's it for lesson 1-4, and you should, after lesson 1-4, you should then be ready for exam number 1.